I got my daughter, 17, a new car 2 months ago. Her stepbrother, 19, has gone crazy about it ever since and has been attempting to drive it, but my daughter made it clear she doesn't want him to. He'd refer to it as our car and would get mad when my daughter decorates it with pink and add teddy bears and necklaces as decoration. He'd get angry and say that she was ruining their car and embarrassing him in front of his friends, although she never let him get inside of it. I asked my husband to talk to his son, but he said that my daughter and I need to chill. Fast forward to this past Friday, my daughter called me at work saying her stepbrother took her car while she was upstairs after he demanded the keys and she refused. I called his phone, but he didn't respond. I called my husband and told him what happened. I told him that he needed to go bring the car back or I'd have to call the police. He called his son, then called me back saying his son was just taking it to go to the movies with his friends and will bring it back at 9 p.m. I couldn't wait. I wanted him one more time to bring it back, but he stalled. I called the police and reported it stolen. My stepson has been picked up from his location and brought it into the local police station. We got the car back, but it was a mess. The decorations and toys in it were gone. My daughter didn't stop crying about it. My husband blew up at me on the phone for calling the police on his son and causing him to spend the night there. They both came home the next day and a huge argument ensued, with my husband saying I made a mistake, reporting the car missing, and said that I escalated this situation and that I was the one who created it and should have gotten his son a similar car or at least told my daughter to share. Otherwise, we wouldn't be dealing with his son's temper tantrums. The house has been full of tension since, and everyone is just mad at each other. I didn't want police involvement, but seeing my daughter cry, I just couldn't take it. Now for the top of advices. This is weird. For the simple act of reporting the car stolen when it was in fact stolen, not the a-hole. For marrying and subjecting yourself and more importantly your daughter to the environment created by your husband and stepson, you're the a-hole. Get a divorce and get them as far away from your daughter as possible. Right, the fact that the husband is gaslighting her is crazy. If he wants his son to have a car, him and his son's mother can buy it. It's not on OP to buy her husband's adult son a car. We now know where his son got his entitlement behavior from. Exactly. This behavior is so repulsive, I would have kicked them both out and served him with papers ASAP. The way the stepson was talking about the car and dad brushing it off, I think he might have, like you said. I would have told him off for telling me to chill. Then I would have told his son that that is my daughter's car, and if he wants one, he can either speak to his parents about getting him one, help him get one, or he can work for one. And in no way is my daughter's car his, nor will I be getting him one. Honestly, I feel like the son believes it's their car to share because the father is telling him that. I can't imagine being 19 years old and so delusional that I come to the conclusion that the pink girly car that I'm not allowed in is partially mine. I would never try telling my stepbrothers that a car that their dad bought them was partially mine. I mean, if I don't like their decorations, sure, I'll tease them or something, but throwing a fit over what isn't mine, that is insane. The way he phrases things is peak manipulation. First, claiming OP caused his son to stay the night at the police station when it was his own fault for stealing a car that didn't belong to him, then saying that OP created the drama when his son was the one who wouldn't stop pestering OP's daughter about her car, and saying OP should have bought the son a car. Why didn't OP's husband buy his son a car? IMO, it sounds as if he's told his son that it's both of theirs, and OP's just allowing her daughter to keep it to herself, so he's not the bad guy. His way of talking and blowing up at OP for holding his son accountable screams he's fueling this fire in more than one way. OP's not the a-hole for calling the cops, but she needs to get her daughter away from these two toxic a-holes while making them replace what A-hole Jr. destroyed with his tantrum. The audacity of it all would have been enough for me to give him and his entitled son their walking papers. Husband is basically telling OP to do for my son what I didn't do, and if you don't, He is allowed to steal, and I will gaslight you when you don't. Both husband and stepson are entitled a-holes. And the audacity of husband to say he is just at the movies, he will bring it back. I would have went straight off if he was ridiculous enough to think that this is an answer. Girl, let them go, because stepson is only going to get worse, and husband will enable this future felon. Story 2. I, 32 female, have 2 daughters, 6 female and 3 female. Both my husband and I have very lucrative degrees, so we've been able to cut down our hours and to focus on being a family and still making a good living. I love being a mother, and I've always dreamt of being one. I put a lot of effort into being the best mother I can. People tend to compliment me on aspects of my parenting or how independent and responsible my 6-year-old is. I also have a younger brother, 20 male. He got a girl pregnant 8-ish months ago. My whole family except me is pro-life. He convinced the girl to keep the baby and she didn't want to raise it. He made her sign away parental rights and promised to take care of the kid. My whole family congratulated him on making the right choice. I advised him to rethink, but it's his choice in the end. A couple of weeks ago at a family function, we were planning on trying for our 3rd kid soon, and we'll probably stop there as we only want 3 kids. My brother called me and asked me to talk about something and if he could drop by my house because he wanted to discuss something. I agreed. Today he showed up with my parents, and between the 3 of them, told me they have this great idea about how I should take my brother's kid. They explained it as if they were doing me a favor, because they knew I wanted a 3rd kid and I could just take him without going through a 3rd pregnancy. They also explained how my brother wanted to finish his degree and couldn't do that while raising a kid. So this was the best alternative for both of us. I told them that I didn't know and that I needed more time to think about it, but that I didn't feel comfortable in the position I was being put in because raising a kid is not something to be taken lightly. They were disappointed in my answer, and after they left, the 3 of them separately sent me a whale of a text, telling me to make the right choice and not deny love to a kid just because I'm being selfish. I do not feel comfortable raising my brother's kid, but I can't explain a non-selfish reason why I don't want to. I like having biological kids. I feel one of our kids being actually my brother's kid would add such a complex family dynamic I don't feel ready to face, and somehow I just don't feel it's fair. It's not easy to get all the pats on the back for saving a kid's life when you are not going to be the one taking the responsibility in the end. I am helping perpetuate a family dynamic I feel has been going on for ages. When I told my husband, he told me they were absolutely mental and should respect my reasons for not wanting to do something like this. But I still feel guilty because I am capable of taking care of the kid, and if I don't step up, I don't know what the fate of that kid will be. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top of advices. Why are men treated like they're so fragile and incapable? I don't see parents of young mothers wanting the baby to be adopted off to whoever will take them so their daughters can finish their degrees. Maybe it happens, I just haven't seen it. He chose to have a kid. He can take care of it. Many single parents have gone to university and finished their degrees. Since he talked his girlfriend out of an abortion, he can suck it up and do what needs to be done. If he was too dumb to realize that having a child at 20 will come with many sacrifices and hardships, that's his personal problem. He made his bed. Also, there's a good chance that OP's brother will ask for the child back in the future when he's settled, since the brother would still be in their child's life if OP adopts the child. Wouldn't it be so confusing for the child? Like, who would they call dad? This is a shit show waiting to happen, not the a-hole. They were disappointed in my answer, and after they left, the 3 of them separately sent me a whale of a text telling me to make the right choice and not deny love to a kid just because I'm being selfish. Tell them you'll only take the child if they can somehow explain to you how 1. This plan isn't your brother denying his own child love because he's being selfish, or 2, that you are somehow more capable of love and or less selfish than your parents who are perfectly capable of keeping the child if they really don't want your brother to. They won't be able to, because there is no logical way to provide an answer, especially to that first part involving your brother's responsibility to his own child. Then emphasize that your brother should make the right choice and keep the child that he chose to have, that he promised to raise as part of his manipulation in convincing the mother to take the pregnancy to full term. Why should you live with someone else's selfish choices? Furthermore, given the thoughtfulness I'm seeing in your brother and parents' behavior, I'm going to give it high odds that in 10 or 13 or however many years, bro decides he wants to be a dad again, and he and OP's parents get mad again when OP doesn't immediately sign over custody of this child. OP, I have a very distinct feeling that whether you stick to your guns or cave, your relationship with your brother and parents will not survive, or at least not in the way that's actually beneficial or healthy for you. So you might as well stick to your guns. Not the a-hole. Your brother talked a girl out of an abortion because, what? He was expecting his family to take care of it? No. It would be wise to sit down and explain to him that you are not going to raise a child he and your parents decided was better off with one parent, as that was the road they were going down before they knew you wanted a third child. Story 3. I, 34 female, have a very spoiled 13-year-old son we will call Junior. In our home, we absolutely love gaming. When we have the chance, Junior has access to all of our game systems. He mostly plays the PS5, but occasionally will play the Switch. So a big rule I have for my Switch, he broke his on accident, is absolutely no Fortnite. He has it on every system he can get it on, but I don't want it on mine, nor do I have the space. I currently have at home a very needy newborn who won't nap unless I'm holding him. This is after 5 months of strict bed rest while pregnant. As you can imagine, I've been getting a lot of time to play on the Switch, but when Junior asked to use it to play a game, I gave it up. Upon getting OT back this morning, I went to play one of my games, Stardew, to find half of my games uninstalled and Fortnite on it. I was aggravated, but whatever. I was stressed and just wanted to relax, so I deleted it and its data. When I launched my game, all of my progress was gone. I checked my other games to find the same. Long story short, I had a stern talk with Junior and grounded him from all the systems. As you can imagine, he was furious. He yelled, went to his room, and slammed his door, all of which woke the baby. Next thing I knew, I got a call from my mom saying games were meant for kids, and I needed to get over it and give her grandbaby his games back. I told her absolutely not and went and grounded Junior from his phone as well. My mom is still blowing up my phone and threatening to come save her grandbaby since I can't grow up and parent properly. Am I the a-hole? Literally trying to hurt his parent because you know he'd be hurt had the same thing happened, and then run to grandma and she tells him he's right. Junior is acting out in a passive-aggressive rage, probably because he doesn't like the shift in baby family dynamics, but grandma is the real a-hole here. Edit to add, come save her grandbaby? I obviously don't know your family dynamics, but your mother is not respecting you as an adult, a mother, or even that you gave birth to her new grandchild, which leads me to believe this child and the 13-year-old have different fathers. She doesn't agree with how you parent, and your mom has most likely always had a poor opinion of you and your competence because she's coming from a place of narcissism. A real grandmother wouldn't divide her family and instigate this type of behavior in a tween, as well as put this kind of unnecessary emotional pressure on her daughter that just gave birth to their second grandchild. She would instead be a mature adult helping any way that she could. I cannot elevate this comment enough. Grandma is contributing to this behavior. And it could have been the mentality of games are for kids that pushed him to disrespect/disregard your rules about your console. I had my own console at 7. It was a Game Boy Color. I still own that console. It is in good shape. I was taught to be respectful to it and my mother's consoles and games at that time. This is amazing to me. I have grandsons, my stepdaughter's sons, whom I don't see often. Distance, pandemic, and mobility issues. But when I do, if they ask me for something, my first response is always, "Did you ask your mom?" I would never undercut her authority with them. If I disagree with something that she's doing, I bring it up with her respectfully and privately, but the final call is always hers. And when I do bring something up, she listens respectfully and considers what I'm saying before she makes a decision. We trust each other to have each other's and the grandkids' best interests in mind. When I was 10 or 11, a kid at a barbecue had a Game Boy and a Pokemon, and I desperately wanted one and wanted to try Pokemon. I asked him if I could have a turn. He ever so kindly said yes. I asked if I could start a new game. He said yes, so I did. And a few minutes later, he goes, "A-hole, no, don't start a new game," but I already had. I didn't know it would erase all his progress. I'm almost 40, it still causes me stress and anxiety. I did that to a kid who was nice to me. I had no idea that's how it worked. I still feel guilty about it. What if I ruined his love of Pokemon? I wish I could remember his name and send him a Switch with a Pokemon game as a sorry gift. Pokemon guy, if you're out there, I'm so sorry. OP, not the a-hole. Your son knew what he was doing. It's also about OP's mom refusing to let go of the reins and backseat parenting so forcefully that OP is actually doubting her right to make parental decisions after being a mom for 13 years. The kid isn't the only person who needs boundaries and consequences for crossing them. Dude, kids these days know technology and video games 100 times better than my generation, and I knew well enough not to dare screw around with my brother's saved data on The Legend of Zelda. That was in 1989. I was 5 years old, and I knew not to mess with saved data. It's a very, very basic shit for kids at this point. The kid knew exactly what he was doing, so much so that it borders on intentionally doing it to irritate mom. That's all for today. If you're enjoying this story, please like and subscribe to our channel.